The United States hiked China tariffs to 104% effective noon today. And this reminds me of Knight Rider. Today, I read an interesting article on foxbusiness.com written by Eric Revelle titled, White House Says Beijing Missed Deadline to Lift Retaliatory Tariffs. U.S. to hike China tariffs to 104%. According to the author, China declined to lift its retaliatory tariff, so the president's additional 50% tariff levied on top of previously imposed tariffs of 20% and 34% took effect, bringing the total tariff on Chinese goods to 104%. This took effect at noon Eastern Time on Tuesday, with tariff collection set to begin on Wednesday. Here are my thoughts. I have to wonder if this may have contributed to the sharp reversal in the stock market today. The market was up huge this morning, and then it reversed and closed in the red. I suspected there would be a bounce on the way down. I'm really surprised no circuit breakers were triggered in the market during the past few trading days. You'll know things are about to get real when that happens. If any of you are curious when these are triggered, I'll tell you. A level 1 event is when the S&P 500 falls 7% intraday. Trading is halted for 15 minutes if this occurs before 3:25 p.m. A level 2 event is when the S&P 500 drops 13% intraday. If this occurs before 3:25 p.m., trading stops for 15 minutes. If it happens again, trading continues unless a level 3 breaker is triggered. A level 3 event is when the S&P 500 drops 20% intraday. Trading is suspended for the remainder of the day when this happens. The market really has held up pretty well today after the big drops last week. I just have to wonder if more pain could be ahead and if we will see a circuit breaker event at some point. Getting back to the article, the author referenced a White House press briefing on Tuesday. I'll share a quote with you. Deals will only be made if they benefit American workers and address our nation's crippling trade deficits. Well, my friends, a deal takes two parties. I'm not sure the leadership in China is ready to cave and come to the table to make a deal that benefits American workers, if that means making sacrifices for their own workers. Are we going to just play a game of chicken and see who can hold out longer before we both collide? In a way, this all reminds me of episode 108 of Knight Rider, titled Trust Doesn't Rust. This aired back on November 19th, 1982. In this episode, Bonnie and Michael were in Kit, the Knight Industry 2000, driving along the seaside high up on a cliff. Coming the opposite direction was CAR, which stood for the Knight Automated Roving Robot. This was Kit's evil twin, built by Wilton Knight without Kit's programming for the preservation of human life. Both cars had the molecular bonded shell, which made them virtually indestructible. Kit made a reference to Zeno's paradox. He said, and I'll quote, "What happens when an irresistible force meets an immovable object?" Michael asked, "What happens?" Kit said, "Nobody knows." This was actually the irresistible force paradox and not Zeno's paradox. Anyway, the evil car swerved in the game of chicken and drove over the cliff and crashed into the rocks below by the ocean. I have to wonder, who is going to swerve in this game of chicken between the US and China? Let's hope neither country crashes. There were a lot of comments beneath this article. I'll share some of them with you. The first commenter said, "Here is my advice. If you want cheap Chinese goods, go down to your local dollar store now and stock up with a year's worth of hygiene and cleaning products. You might just save yourself some money before everyone else gets the same idea and cleans them out before the prices go up further." The next commenter said, "This can't go on. Trump will need to back down soon or he will be gone within a week. His closest supporters are alarmed." Another commenter said, "The trade deficit has nothing to do with our debt. The debt is because our Congress spends. The trade deficit is because not everyone is as rich and populous as we are. Just imagine little poor Honduras, who sells us bananas with its 10 million people, and their average income is $210 per month. We have a huge deficit with them, not because they are ripping us off, but because we really like cheap bananas, and they are so poor they can't afford any of our stuff. How is that causing our debt to go up? The next commenter said, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, signed into law in 1930, raised tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods, aiming to protect American businesses and farmers. But instead, that led to a sharp decline in global trade and deepened the Great Depression. Trump's tariffs are even more drastic. Another Great Recession is coming to America from another Republican president. The last comment that I'll share with you came from someone who said, if these tariffed countries start selling off all the U.S. debt they are holding, tariffs will be the least of America's problems. Well, my friends, the commenters always have interesting things to say. Please keep in mind, these are the thoughts of the commenters and not me. What do you think about all this? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, here's some bad news for home buyers or homeowners hoping to refinance. I read an article today on CNBC.com written by Diana Olick, titled, Mortgage Rates Slingshot Higher as Tariff Uncertainty Roils Markets. According to the author, mortgage rates hit their highest level in over a month this week, reversing course after a period of improvement. Much like the stock market, the bond market has been on a roller coaster over the last week, and mortgage rates are along for the ride. Well, my friends, I don't think this is a big issue. Mortgage rates are still below 7% for a 30-year fixed rate in most cases. I know a lot of people are upset because this is more than double what we had a few years ago. But those were artificially low and completely uncalled for in my opinion. I am glad we are in a more normal interest rate environment. Perhaps we will see some sellers get back to reality at some point in the future. If not, the gridlock in the real estate market may continue. Unless, of course, the stock market continues to dive and these tariffs result in companies laying off workers. If that happens, some people may have no choice but to sell their homes because they won't be able to afford the payments anymore. But that's just what I think. And what do I know? I'm just some guy on YouTube with a gong. What do you think about all this? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. If you would like to become a channel member, there is a link in the description beneath this video. You can read more about the different membership levels. Please also check out some of the great books I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.